It's time for the Bison Beat with KSJB Sports Director Kyle Dean and voice of the Bison, Jeff Culhane. Brought to you by First Class Aviation Maintenance and Flight School and FTC of Lisbon, North Dakota. Now, here's Kyle Dean and Jeff Culhane.
All right, we're here once again today on this beautiful North Dakota day, talking about some NDSU Bison football here on the Bison Beat. We are online at ksjbam.com. And joining me every day for the Bison Beat, it's the one and only voice of the Bison, Jeff Culhane. Hey, Jeff, how are you doing today?
Kyle, great to be with you once again. How are things going with you guys?
Oh, it's going very well. Football action, of course, in high school is still going at it, and NDSU Bison and all college football is still going. So it's nice to be in this time of the year when there's football all the time.
Yeah, no question about that. Looking forward to getting back into the grind of calling a game and getting back into that weekly routine now where no more bye week. For the Bison, they've got 8 in a row as the Valley is upon us this weekend.
And this is where you get your money made, right? 8 in a row games.
Yeah, this is a gauntlet here for this football team. I mean, they have had a wild start to the season with these 3 non-conference games, and I'll tell you, the bye weeks have been positioned probably in a correct way, the way the games have played, but I'm sure towards the end of October, early November, this team will look back and probably say, you know what, we wouldn't mind one of those buys right now because the Valley is like the SEC of the FCS. It's going to be a big-time challenge as it is each and every year.
Yes, it's going to be a lot of fun at the same time. But, Jeff, now, since we had a bye week last week, what were some of the FCS scores and matchups that we saw last week that could play into the Bison schedule?
Well, I thought that it was a little surprising that our opponent this weekend, Illinois State, lost in Terre Haute at Indiana State. You know, the Sycamores were picked 8th of 9 teams in the league in 2016, and I think Illinois State really mismanaged that football game in a lot of respects. They had their starting quarterback, Jake Colby, available. He had a little bit of an issue with his throwing shoulder during the week, but he said he was good to go. They didn't start him. They didn't play him until midway through the second quarter when they were already behind 24-7. So it was a little bit of I think of a mismanaged performance by the Redbirds. And I think looking back on it now, they would have started Colby to begin the game if they were to do it all over again. So, you know, I was a little surprised by the way Illinois State performed last weekend. You know, the majority of the Valley was off with a bye week. There were some big games in the Big Sky last weekend, none bigger than Montana at Cal Poly. And Cal Poly was able to hang on and win that game, a high-scoring affair, 42-41 over the Grizz. So Cal Poly starting to emerge in the Big Sky. Eastern Washington went down to northern Arizona. Everybody's preseason pick in the Big Sky and beat the Lumberjacks down there. So Eastern Washington right now, I think, is continuing to solidify themselves as the next team behind North Dakota State in the FCS. And then you look around the country, Jacksonville State with a nice win this past weekend at Liberty. Also, Charleston Southern is getting back on track. They won at Monmouth this past weekend. They've got a huge game at Coastal Carolina coming up on Saturday. So it's starting to set itself up. When conference play begins, as you know, Kyle, the contenders and the pretenders start to arise and fall around the country.
And, you know, this is the best part about football season is when you start playing your rivals in the conference. And now, not talking about the NDSU Bison upcoming game, what are some of the conference games that we have to watch out for the Bison coming up here for the future schedule?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt, you know, as you look around the league this weekend, there's a big matchup between Western Illinois and South Dakota State and Brookings. That's a huge game to watch this weekend. As far as the Bison are concerned, you know, it's tough. There's going to be a stretch, I believe, where the Bison play at home versus South Dakota State, at Western Illinois and at Northern Iowa, and then at home versus Youngstown State. I think that's a 4-game gauntlet for NDSU, where if they can roll through that thing 3-1, they're really going to set themselves up in a great way for one of the top 2 seeds and home field advantage in the FCS on the road to Frisco.
Yes, it's going to be a lot of fun as everything starts this weekend. And like you said, bye week last weekend. But now, here comes Illinois State, and it's homecoming for the North Dakota State Bison. And I bet the players are excited to have a homecoming game coming up.
Yeah, I think so. I think homecoming from high school to the college level is a little bit different. I think the players are probably a little more focused on the game than they are of a lot of the pageantry and things that surround the game. I think it's mainly for the players and definitely for the coaches. It's just the next man up, the next team up, rather, getting ready for the next challenge on their schedule. So, sure, a lot of exciting things going on this week here in Fargo. They've got the Hall of Fame induction happening this weekend, where guys like Lamar Gordon, the all-time leading rusher, will be inducted. Scott Miller, the voice of the Bison, who passed away, of course, due to melanoma last February, will be inducted posthumously on Friday and Saturday. So exciting times, and people being honored for their contributions, and rightly so.
And yes, once again, lots of events going on in Fargo for this weekend for homecoming. Now, going to the game that's this Saturday afternoon, what is there any injuries, any game plan that the Bison have that they have to be worried about for this upcoming game?
Well, I think that the Bison, of course, you'll look at Matt Plank moving into that role full-time as a starting Mike linebacker with Nick DeLuca done for the year. Saw Nick yesterday over at the Fargo Dome. He's doing well. He's feeling good after surgery, and we'll look forward to seeing him back in the green and gold next year in 2017. So, I think Matt Plank is somebody to watch on Saturday. Eric Bachmeyer, the backup safety, has been a little bit dinged up with a knee injury. I'm not sure if he'll play on Saturday or not. Marquise Bridges is a guy that's moved over from wide receiver to corner to give the Bison more depth in the secondary. The Bison have moved Darren Kelly back to safety and have pushed Dom Davis down to the nickelback. So looking to solidify themselves in the back end, provide more depth, get some guys some reps. And Chris Kleiman, even though the Bison are 3-0, always looking ahead to figure out how to make this team better.
And what matchups are we expect to see between these two teams? And what's the biggest challenge for the Bison coming in for this game?
Well, I think, Illinois State is very good throwing the football with their quarterback, Jake Colby. Now, I'm not sure if he's 100% or not, but I expect him to play and start in this game, unlike he did against Indiana State last weekend. The Redbirds have a fantastic wide receiver in Anthony Warham, who is one of their top wide receivers statistically all time in normal. Fantastic numbers, had 10 catches for 152 yards and 2 scores last week at Indiana State. He's a guy you got to watch, number 82. They're running back by committee, this group, so they don't have a headliner like they've had in years past with Marcel Koprich, but they have talented players. Their offensive line is veteran. They are very good. Defensively, they're getting one of their top defensive linemen back. So this is a talented football team that is a little dinged up right now with their backs up against the wall. They're going to come in here and take their best swing at the Bison Saturday.
All right, once again, we're talking to voice of the Bison, Jeff Culhane. Jeff, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk, of course, more Bison football here on the Bison Beat on KSJB.
Good snap, spot, kick, on the way, the kick is up, it's good! And the Bison have done it again! After the historic win over the Iowa Hawkeyes, the North Dakota State Bison turned their attention to Missouri Valley Football Conference play. Hi, everyone, this is Jeff Culhane. Join me and our entire network broadcast crew Saturday, October 1st for homecoming as NDSU takes on Illinois State. Pregame begins at 12:30 on the Peterson Farm Seed Bison Radio Network.
NDSU Bison football right here on AM 600 KSJB and KSJBAM.com.
Don't give up on your soybeans too early. Hi, I'm Darren Hefty with Hefty Seed Company. Far too often we see yield left on the table because either the growing season just wore people down, or they simply were tired of spending more money. If a $5 investment turned into $10 to $40 in a month, would you do it? To find these opportunities, keep scouting your fields all the way until the soybeans start to turn yellow. There's a potential for a very nice crop. Don't leave yield on the table by giving up on your soybeans too early. Call 1-800-27-HEFTY for the answers to your agronomic questions.
Did you ever look to the skies and dream of flying an airplane? Quit dreaming and contact First Class Aviation to schedule your discovery flight, where a first-class instructor will take you up in one of their airplanes. Call 952-1515, 952-1515. Aircraft maintenance is also available. Just call to schedule your aircraft. And they offer aircraft rental, too. Owners are NDSU Bison team makers at First Class Aviation, Flight School, and Aircraft Maintenance at Jamestown Airport. Go Bison!
We are back here on the Bison Beat on AM 600 KSJB and KSJBAM.com. And once again, joining us on the phone, it's voice of the Bison, Jeff Culhane. Jeff, you had a busy show today that I saw, following you on Twitter and everything, and you actually talked to the quarterback for the Bison, Easton Stick. How did that go today?
It was great, Kyle. Easton is the exact person you want running your football team. I mean, he is confident. He's a leader. He's calm, cool, and collected. He walks into the room, and he has a presence about him. He shakes your hand firmly. He looks you right in the eye when he's talking to you. I love talking to him, and he's a great interview. We joked around that it's about time that somebody gave Easton all the credit for teaching Carson Wentz everything he knows. So we joked around, but he and Carson are very good friends. Mm-hmm. Easton has learned a ton from Carson Wentz, and you see a lot of that, I think, on the field. You see a little bit of Carson Wentz and Easton Stick with the way he approaches the game, and Easton couldn't be happier for the way the career for Carson Wentz has begun in Philadelphia.
And, of course, Carson Wentz is back in Fargo from what I've heard from multiple media outlets. Have they met together yet so far this week since they're back in town together, maybe?
I think they've just texted. I don't believe they've hung out or spent time together. Carson, I think, is seeing his family here in North Dakota, hanging out, probably, I would imagine, doing a little hunting of some sort if he can. So I think that at some point they will. Carson will be at the game on Saturday. I think a lot of fans will be excited to see him, obviously, back in Fargo watching the Bison play. But you better believe that Carson and Easton will be in conversation with one another, discussing what the Bison need to do to beat Illinois State on Saturday.
And, of course, it's a huge game coming up this Saturday. What are the colors that all the fans are supposed to wear for the homecoming game?
It's all gold, Kyle. Wear your gold. Gold, everything. It's a gold rush at Gate City Bank Field. So wear your gold and head to toe, flat and gold.
That is awesome. You got to love it when it's a gold rush. Well, before we go, Jeff, what are your final thoughts about this upcoming game for homecoming before we head on out?
Well, I think a quick start's a big key. You know, I think jumping out early, getting ahead 10-0, 14-0 in the first quarter, getting the crowd into it, because I think Illinois State is really close to breaking. And I think that if you allow them to hang around, gain some confidence, they're banged up, if you allow them to get healthy mentally, that's a bad thing for the Bison. So I think North Dakota State really needs to come out and set the tone in the first quarter of this football game, impose their will up front along the offensive line. And if they can hit Jake Colby a few times and get him uncomfortable with that injured throwing shoulder, that's going to make life tough on him and the Illinois State offense. So get out to an early start, put pressure on Colby, get the crowd into the ball game.
Oh, yes, that crowd is the biggest factor. Well, Jeff, before we go, what time is the pregame and what time is kickoff for this Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, pregame right here, guys, on KSJB, 12:30 on Saturday afternoon. Kickoff set for 1 o'clock, and we appreciate everything you guys do at KSJB, being a great affiliate on the Peterson Farm Seed Bison Radio Network.
And once again, thank you, Jeff, for all those kind words, and we love what you do. You sound great, and I can't wait to listen to you for how many more games left of the season and coming for that postseason, right, Jeff?
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate you having me on. Always fun talking to you.
All right. See you later, Jeff. Have a great afternoon and a great weekend.
You too.
Bye. That's, once again, Jeff Culhane, voice of the Bison, here on KSJB. Kickoff Saturday, 1 p.m. right here on AM 600 KSJB, online at KSJBAM.com.